Suddenly, a blinding flash of light filled the bridge, and Leah cried out as a wave of energy surged through her. She felt herself being pulled into the artifact, her consciousness merging with its own, and for a moment she was everywhere and nowhere, floating in a sea of stars. She saw visions of other artifacts, each one glowing with a different resonance, scattered across the galaxy. She saw the Unraveling, a dark void spreading across the cosmos, consuming everything in its path. And then he saw something else, a figure, standing at the center of the void, its form indistinct but radiating a powerful, malevolent energy. The figure turned towards her, its eyes glowing with an intense, blinding light. She felt a surge of fear, a cold dread that gripped her heart, and she tried to pull away, but the figure reached out, its hand stretching across the void, closing around her. "Leah!" Dr. Varos's voice broke through the darkness, and she felt herself being pulled back to the present. She gasped, her eyes snapping open as she collapsed to the floor of the bridge, her body trembling with shock. Dr. Varos was beside her, his expression filled with concern. "Leah, are you all right?" She nodded weakly, her mind still reeling from what she had seen. "I'm okay. I saw something. Someone. I think it's connected to the Unraveling." Kira turned in her seat, her brow furrowed with worry. "What do you mean? What did you see?" Leah took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. There was a figure standing at the center of the void. It felt powerful, malevolent, like it was controlling the Unraveling. Dr. Varos's expression darkened. "A figure? That doesn't make any sense. The Unraveling is a cosmic force, not something that can be controlled by an individual." "I know what I saw," Leah insisted, her voice trembling. "It was real, and I think it's trying to stop us from finding the artifacts." Torrens' eyes shimmered with a deep, violet light, his voice calm but serious. "If what Leah says is true, then our task is even more urgent. We must retrieve the artifact and continue our search. There is more at stake than we realized." Hax nodded, his mechanical eyes flickering. "I'll get the grappler ready. We'll pull the artifact in and secure it in the cargo hold." Kira maneuvered the ship closer to the artifact, and Hax activated the grappler, extending a series of mechanical arms toward the glowing crystal. The arms wrapped around the artifact, and with a steady pull, they began to reel it in. As the artifact was brought on board, Leah felt a strange mix of fear and anticipation. The visions she had seen, the figure at the center of the void, it all felt so real, so immediate. She knew they were getting closer to the truth, but she also knew that the closer they got, the more dangerous their mission became. Once the artifact was secured in the cargo hold, the crew gathered around it, their expressions a mix of awe and trepidation. The artifact's glow had dimmed slightly, but it still pulsed with a deep, resonant energy that seemed to fill the room. "What now?" Kira asked, her gaze shifting between Leah and Dr. Varos. "How do we activate this thing without getting pulled into whatever the hell that was?" Leah took a deep breath, stepping forward. "I think I can do it. I just need to focus, to tune out the noise and connect with its resonance." Dr. Varos nodded, his expression supportive. "We're here with you, Leah. Just take it slow." Leah closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind once more, feeling for the artifact's resonance. She could sense its power, its connection to the veil, and she let herself merge with it, becoming one with its energy. This time, the connection was smoother, less jarring. She felt herself being drawn into the artifact's depths, but instead of the darkness she had felt before, she was surrounded by a soft, warm light. She could see the other artifacts again, each one glowing with a different color, a different frequency. They were like nodes in a vast, interconnected web, each one a part of a greater whole. And then she saw it, a path, a line of light connecting the artifacts, leading towards a distant point at the center of the galaxy. She realized that this was their destination, the place where all the artifacts converged, the key to stopping the Unraveling. She opened her eyes, a sense of clarity washing over her. "I know where we need to go," he said, her voice steady and sure. "There's a place at the center of the galaxy, a place where all the artifacts are connected. That's where we'll find the answers." Dr. Varos nodded, his expression determined. "Then that's where we're headed. Prepare the ship for the jump. We have a long journey ahead of us." As the crew began to prepare for their next leap through space, Leah felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead was still uncertain, and the dangers were greater than ever, but she knew they were on the right track. They were getting closer to the truth, closer to understanding the nature of the unraveling and the figure at its center. As the Echo's shadow leaped forward into the unknown, Leah closed her eyes, focusing on the resonance of the artifact still echoing in her mind. They were venturing into the heart of the galaxy, into the abyss, but they were not alone. The Veil was with them, guiding them, and she knew that as long as they stayed true to their mission, they would find a way to save the galaxy. The Echo's shadow soared through the star-studded void, its engines humming steadily as it made its way toward the center of the galaxy. Inside the ship, the crew prepared for their next challenge, the air thick with a mixture of anticipation and unease. Each passing moment brought them closer to their destination and to the answers they sought about the unraveling. Leah stood in the cargo hold, staring at the newly acquired artifact. Its violet glow had faded since they'd retrieved it near the black hole, but it still emanated a low hum, a faint resonance that seemed to vibrate through her bones. She reached out, letting her fingers hover just above its surface, feeling the pulse of energy beneath her skin. She had seen the path, the line of light connecting all the artifacts to a distant point at the galaxy's center, but she didn't fully understand what it meant or what awaited them there. The figure she'd seen in her vision, the one at the center of the unraveling, still haunted her thoughts. Whoever or whatever it was, it posed a threat unlike anything they had ever faced. A voice broke through her reverie, pulling her back to the present. "Leah, we're approaching the Sargas system," Kira said from the doorway. "You should come to the bridge. We're picking up some strange readings." Leah nodded, giving the artifact one last look before following Kira through the narrow corridors of the ship. When they reached the bridge, Hax and Dr. Varos were huddled over a console, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of the screens. Torrens stood by the view screen, his eyes fixed on the growing brightness of a distant star. "What's going on?" Leah asked, stepping up beside Dr. Varos. "We're picking up some unusual energy signatures coming from Sargas," Dr. Varos explained, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The star itself is emitting a strange resonance similar to the artifacts, but distorted somehow." "Distorted," Leah repeated, a sense of unease creeping into her voice. Hax nodded, tapping a few keys on the console. "Yeah, like something's interfering with its natural state. I've seen this kind of thing before. It's almost like the star is being drained of its energy." Kira swiveled her chair around, her expression grim. "There's only one thing that could do that. The mining corporations." Dr. Varos's face darkened. "They're extracting energy directly from the star. That would explain the distorted resonance and the strange energy readings." Leah felt a knot form in her stomach. She remembered the last time they had encountered a mining operation like this on Epsilon Eridani 4. The star's resonance had been thrown out of balance, and they had barely managed to stabilize it in time. If the same thing was happening here, it could spell disaster. "We need to stop them," she said, determination hardening her voice. "If they keep draining the star's energy, it could destabilize and cause a supernova. And if the unraveling is drawn to that," Dr. Varos nodded, "it could accelerate the process. The unraveling feeds on chaos and destruction. A supernova would be like a beacon to it." Kira turned back to the controls, her hands moving quickly. "I'm setting a course for the mining operation. If we're going to do this, we need to act fast." The Echo's shadow changed direction, speeding toward the source of the energy readings. As they drew closer, the star Sargas grew larger on the view screen, its light fluctuating in a way that seemed almost unnatural. Leah could feel the discordance in its resonance, a dissonance that set her teeth on edge. "There," Hax said, pointing to a cluster of structures orbiting the star. "That's the mining station. Looks like it's heavily fortified, lots of automated defenses and some kind of energy shield around the main facility." "Of course," Kira muttered. "These corporations don't leave anything to chance. We'll have to find a way to get past those defenses if we want to shut this down." Leah's mind raced as she tried to come up with a plan. They couldn't afford to waste time. The longer they waited, the more unstable the star would become. She turned to Dr. Varos. "What if we use the artifact to disrupt their energy shield? It's connected to the star's resonance, right? Maybe we can use it to create a feedback loop that overloads their systems. Dr. Varos considered this for a moment, then nodded. It's risky, but it could work. We need to get close enough for the artifact's energy to interact with the shield. Hax, can you modify the artifact's output to match the star's distorted resonance? Hax's mechanical eyes flickered as he thought. Yeah, I think I can rig something up. It won't be pretty, though. We don't need pretty, Kira said, her hands already moving over the controls to adjust their course. Just functional. Leah, you're with Hax. Get that artifact ready. Torin, keep an eye on the star's energy readings. Let us know if things start to get out of hand. The crew sprang into action, each of them moving with purpose. Leah followed Hax to the cargo hold, where the artifact still pulsed with a faint violet light. Hax quickly set to work, attaching a series of cables and devices to the artifact, his fingers moving with a speed and precision that was almost mechanical. All right, Hax said after a few minutes, stepping back to inspect his work. That should do it. I've calibrated the artifact's output to match the star's distorted resonance. When we get close enough, it should create a feedback loop that disrupts the energy shield. Leah nodded, feeling a mix of anxiety and determination. Let's hope this works. They returned to the bridge, where Kira was guiding the ship toward the mining station. The defenses were already activating, sending a barrage of laser fire and missiles in their direction. Kira expertly maneuvered the Echo's shadow, dodging the incoming fire with a skill born of years of experience. We're almost in range, she said through gritted teeth, her eyes focused on the controls. Get ready. Leah and Hax positioned the artifact at the front of the bridge, its glow intensifying as they drew closer to the station. The energy shield surrounding the facility shimmered with a bright blue light, pulsing in time with the star's distorted resonance. Now, Hax shouted, flipping a switch on the console. The artifact flared brightly, sending out a wave of energy that rippled through the ship and into the space around them. Leah felt the resonance shift, the artifact's energy merging with the star's distorted frequency, creating a powerful feedback loop. The energy shield around the mining station flickered, its blue glow stuttering and fading. Alarms blared on the station as the shield began to overload, sparks flying from its generators. It's working, Dr. Varos exclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement. The shield is destabilizing. Kira seized the opportunity, pushing the Echo's shadow forward. Let's get in there and shut this thing down. The ship sped toward the station, slipping through the weakening energy shield. They landed in a docking bay, the ship's engines whirring to a halt as the crew rushed to disembark. All right, we need to move fast, Dr. Varos said as they exited the ship. Our first priority is to disable the main energy extraction device. If we can shut that down, the star should start to stabilize. They sprinted through the station's corridors, Hax using his cybernetic enhancements to bypass security doors and disable automated defenses. The facility was a maze of metal and machinery, the walls vibrating with the hum of the energy extraction process. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a squad of armed guards. The guards raised their weapons, but Kira was faster, drawing her blaster and firing off a series of precise shots that took them down in seconds. No time to waste, she said, leading the way forward. The main control room should be just ahead. They reached the control room, a large chamber filled with consoles and monitors displaying readouts of the star's energy levels. In the center of the room was a massive device, its core glowing with a bright, pulsating light as it drained energy directly from the star. Hax rushed to the nearest console, his fingers flying over the controls as he tried to shut down the device. Damn it, they've got a lockout on the system. I need more time to bypass it. Leah glanced at the device, her heart pounding. She could feel the star's resonance, a chaotic, dissonant hum that filled the room. We don't have time, she said urgently. The star is getting more unstable. If we don't shut this down now, it's going to go supernova. Dr. Varos moved to another console, trying to assist Hax. We need to find a way to manually override the system. There has to be a way to shut it down from here. Suddenly, a voice crackled over the station's intercom, cold and authoritative. You are trespassing on corporate property. Cease your actions immediately or face the consequences. Kira scowled, raising her blaster. Looks like they're not going to make this easy for us. Before anyone could respond, the doors to the control room burst open and a squad of heavily armed guards stormed in, weapons raised. The crew dove for cover as a barrage of laser fire filled the room, the walls and consoles sparking under the onslaught. Leah crouched behind a console, her heart racing as she tried to think of a way out. They were outnumbered, and Hax was still working on disabling the device. She glanced at the artifact, which she had set down near the entrance, its glow dim and faint. Desperation surged within her, and she reached out with her mind, focusing on the artifact's resonance. She could feel its connection to the star, the distorted frequency that mirrored the star's chaotic energy. She didn't know if it would work, but she had to try. She closed her eyes, reaching out with her thoughts, merging with the artifact's energy. She felt a surge of power, a wave of resonance that flowed through her and into the artifact, amplifying its output. The artifact flared brightly, sending out a shockwave of energy that rippled through the room. The guards staggered back, their weapons short-circuiting as the energy wave disrupted their systems. The main device in the center of the room sputtered, its core flickering as the feedback loop created by the artifact began to interfere with its operation. "Hax! Now!" Dr. Varos shouted, taking advantage of the distraction. Hax's fingers flew over the controls, and with a final, decisive keystroke, the device powered down, its core dimming to a soft glow. The room fell silent, the only sound the faint hum of the star's resonance in the distance. "We did it, Kira saw," ID, lowering her blaster as the last of the guards retreated. "The extraction device is offline." Dr. Varos let out a breath of relief, his shoulders sagging. "Good work, everyone, but we're not out of the woods yet. We need to make sure the star stabilizes before we can leave." Leah nodded, still feeling the artifact's resonance thrumming through her. "I can feel it. The star's energy is calming down. We need to get back to the ship and monitor the situation from there." The crew quickly made their way back to the Echo's shadow, leaving the disabled mining station behind. As they lifted off, Leah watched the star Sargas from the view screen, its light slowly returning to a more stable, steady glow. Torn monitored the star's energy levels from his station, his eyes glowing with a soft, blue light. The star's resonance is stabilizing. It will take time, but it should return to its natural state. Dr. Varos nodded, a small smile of satisfaction on his face. "We've bought ourselves some time, but we need to keep moving. The center of the galaxy is still our primary objective. That's where we'll find the answers we need." Leah took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of relief and exhaustion. They had managed to stop the mining operation and stabilize the star, but she knew their journey was far from over. The figure she had seen in her vision, the one at the center of the Unraveling, still loomed large in her mind. As the Echo's shadow set course for the center of the galaxy, Leah closed her eyes, focusing on the resonance still echoing within her. The path ahead was uncertain, and the dangers were greater than ever, but she knew they had to keep moving forward. The fate of the galaxy depended on it. The Echo's shadow streaked through the void of space, its engines humming with a steady rhythm. After the chaos at the Sargas star, a tense calm had settled over the crew. They had narrowly escaped disaster, but Leah knew they were far from safe. As they drew closer to the center of the galaxy, the weight of their mission bore down heavier on their shoulders. Leah sat in her quarters, the faint resonance of the artifact still thrumming in her mind. She had barely slept since leaving Sargas, her thoughts consumed by the figure she'd seen in her visions, the malevolent presence at the heart of the Unraveling. She knew they were getting closer to the truth, but she also knew that with every step forward, the danger increased. A soft knock on her door pulled her from her thoughts. She turned to see Kira standing in the doorway, a pensive look on her face. "Can I come in?" Kira asked. Leah nodded. "Sure. What's up?" Kira stepped inside, leaning against the wall. "I just wanted to check on you. You've been pretty quiet since Sargas." Leah managed a small smile. "Just trying to wrap my head around everything. This presence I saw in my vision, it feels like it's always watching us, waiting for the right moment to strike." Kira nodded, her expression serious. "Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. Whatever it is, it's clearly tied to the Unraveling. and if it's as powerful as you say, we need to be ready for anything. Leah sighed, running a hand through her hair. I know. I just wish I knew what it wanted. Why is it trying to stop us from finding the artifacts? Maybe it's trying to protect something, Kira suggested, or maybe it's just afraid of what we might find. Either way, we're going to find out soon enough. We're almost at the center of the galaxy. Leah nodded, her determination hardening. You're right. We have to keep going, no matter what. Kira clapped her on the shoulder. That's the spirit. Just remember, we're in this together. No one's going down without a fight. As Kira left, Leah felt a renewed sense of resolve. They had come too far to turn back now. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. A few hours later, the ship's intercom crackled to life. Torin, his calm voice echoing through the corridors. We're approaching the coordinates. Everyone to the bridge. Leah hurried to the bridge, joining the rest of the crew around the central console. The view screen displayed a swirling mass of energy at the center of the galaxy, a brilliant vortex of light and color that pulsed with a strange, otherworldly rhythm. At the center of the vortex, a dark shape loomed, a massive structure, unlike anything Leah had ever seen. What is that? Kira asked, her eyes wide with awe. Dr. Varos leaned forward, studying the readings on the console. It appears to be some kind of artificial construct, built directly into the core of the galaxy. The energy readings are off the charts. It's like a power source that's drawing energy from the entire galaxy. Hax's mechanical eyes flickered as he analyzed the data. Whatever it is, it's ancient, and it's powerful. We're picking up a resonance similar to the artifacts, but it's on a much larger scale. Leah felt a chill run down her spine as she stared at the structure. She could feel its presence, a faint but unmistakable pulse that resonated with the artifacts she had connected with. That's where we need to go, she said quietly. That's where we'll find the answers. Kira nodded, her hands moving over the controls. All right, let's get in close and see what we're dealing with. As the Echo's shadow moved toward the vortex, the ship shuddered, the gravitational forces pulling at its hull. The energy readings on the console spiked, and alarms began to blare. We're hitting some serious turbulence, Hax said, his fingers flying over the controls as he tried to stabilize the ship. This energy field is like nothing I've ever seen. Torin's multifaceted eyes glowed with a soft blue light as he focused on the vortex. The closer we get, the stronger the pull. We must be careful. If we get too close, we may be drawn in and unable to escape. Dr. Varos nodded, his expression tense. We need to find a way to navigate through the vortex without getting caught in its gravity well. Leah, do you think you can use the artifacts to create a path? Leah hesitated for a moment, then nodded. I can try. If I can synchronize the artifact's resonances with the vortex's energy, we might be able to find a way through. She closed her eyes, focusing on the resonance of the artifacts still echoing in her mind. She reached out with her thoughts, feeling for the pulse of energy emanating from the structure at the center of the vortex. The resonance was strong, but chaotic, like 1,000 voices all speaking at once. Leah took a deep breath, calming her mind, and began to weave the artifact's resonances together, creating a harmonic frequency that matched the vortex's energy. She could feel the ship responding, the shuddering subsiding as the resonance began to align. There, she said, her voice steady. I've created a stable frequency. We should be able to navigate through the vortex now. Kira nodded, guiding the ship forward. The Echo's shadow moved smoothly through the swirling mass of energy, the colors and lights shifting and changing around them. Leah could feel the resonance growing stronger, a powerful rhythm that seemed to resonate through the very fabric of space. As they drew closer to the structure, the energy around them intensified, and Leah felt a familiar pressure building in her mind. The presence she had sensed in her visions, the figure at the center of the unraveling. It was here, watching them, waiting for them to arrive. We're almost there, Dr. Varos said, his voice tense with anticipation. Prepare for landing. The ship shuddered as it descended toward the structure, the energy field pulling at its hull with a force that threatened to tear it apart. Kira fought to keep the ship steady, her hands moving quickly over the controls. Come on, she muttered under her breath, her eyes focused on the views, Rien. With a final lurch, the The ship broke through the energy field and landed on a massive platform at the base of the structure. The crew quickly disembarked, stepping onto the cold, metallic surface of the platform. The air was thick with a strange, humming energy that seemed to vibrate through their bodies. Leah felt the presence stronger than ever, a powerful force that seemed to emanate from the very core of the structure. She knew they were close to finding the answers they sought, but she also knew that whatever awaited them here would not be easily defeated. They moved cautiously across the platform, the resonance growing stronger with each step. The structure was vast, its walls stretching up into the darkness above them, covered in strange symbols that shifted and changed like the ones they had seen on the artifacts. As they reached the entrance to the structure, a massive doorway carved with intricate patterns, the air around them seemed to pulse with energy. The door slowly slid open, revealing a long, dark corridor that stretched deep into the heart of the structure. "This is it," Dr. Varos said quietly. "This is where we'll find the truth." They stepped into the corridor, the walls closing in around them as they moved deeper into the structure. The resonance grew louder, the energy pulsing through the walls like a heartbeat. Leah could feel her own heartbeat quickening in response, a sense of anticipation and fear building within her. As they reached the end of the corridor, they entered a vast chamber, its walls lined with rows of crystalline structures similar to the artifacts. At the center of the chamber, a massive crystalline entity floated, its surface glowing with a dark, violet light. The resonance here was overwhelming, a powerful, chaotic force that seemed to shake the very air around them. Leah took a step forward, drawn to the entity. She could feel its presence, the same malevolent force she had sensed in her visions. "This is it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This is the source of the unraveling." Suddenly, the air around them crackled with energy, and the entity began to pulse with a blinding light. The resonance grew louder, more chaotic, and Leah felt a surge of fear as the presence she had sensed closed in around them. A voice echoed through the chamber, deep and resonant, filled with a cold, calculating malice. "You have come far, but your journey ends here. You cannot stop the unraveling. It is inevitable." The entity's light intensified, and a wave of energy surged through the chamber, sending the crew stumbling back. Leah felt a crushing pressure on her chest, the resonance turning into a deafening roar in her mind. Kira gritted her teeth, raising her blaster. "We didn't come all this way to give up now." She fired at the entity, but the energy blasts were absorbed by its surface, dissipating into the violet glow. The entity seemed to pulse in response, its resonance growing even stronger. Dr. Varos shouted over the noise, "Leah, can you connect with it? We need to understand what it wants." The resonance of the entity's voice filled the vast chamber, vibrating through Leah's bones. She knew now that this was the heart of the unraveling, the source of the malevolent force tearing the galaxy apart. As the entity pulsed with a blinding light, the chaotic energy in the chamber intensified, threatening to overwhelm them all. Leah staggered back, her mind reeling from the crushing pressure. Every part of her wanted to flee, to escape the oppressive force that was trying to consume her. But she knew they couldn't turn back now. They had come too far, sacrificed too much. The entity spoke again, its voice a low, rumbling growl that seemed to shake the chamber. "The unraveling cannot be stopped. It is the natural order, the return to chaos. You are fools to think you can alter the fate of the universe." Kira fired another blah, sent from her blaster, her face set with determination, but the energy dissipated harmlessly against the entity's glowing surface. "We need a new plan," she shouted over the deafening resonance. Dr. Varos turned to Leah, his eyes filled with urgency. "Leah, the artifacts, they're connected to this entity somehow. You need to try to communicate with it, understand its purpose." Leah nodded, though fear gripped her heart. She closed her eyes and reached out with her mind, feeling for the resonance of the artifacts she had connected with throughout their journey. She could sense them all here, their frequencies vibrating in harmony with the entity's chaotic pulse. Taking a deep breath, she focused her thoughts, tuning in to the artifact's resonances. She could feel the energy of the entity pulling at her mind, a dark, swirling vortex that threatened to drag her under. She pushed through the fear, letting herself be drawn into the resonance, becoming one with it. Suddenly, her surroundings shifted, and she found herself standing in a vast, empty void. The chamber, the entity, and her crew were gone, replaced by an infinite expanse of darkness. In the distance, she could see a faint light, a small star that pulsed with a steady, rhythmic glow. Leia moved toward the light, her steps slow and deliberate. As she drew closer, the star's glow intensified, revealing a figure standing before it. The figure was shrouded in shadows, its form indistinct, but she could feel its presence, the same malevolent force she had sensed before. "Who are you?" Leia called out, her voice echoing through the void. The figure did not respond. Instead, it raised its hand, and the star behind it flared brightly, casting long shadows across the darkness. Leia could feel the energy of the star pulsing through her, a resonance that was both familiar and alien. She took another step forward, her fear slowly giving way to determination. "Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to destroy everything?" The figure finally spoke, its voice a cold, hollow whisper. "I am not destroying. I am restoring. The universe is meant to be chaotic, ever-changing. The harmony you seek is an illusion, a temporary state. The unraveling is the true nature of existence." Leia shook her head, refusing to accept its words. "That's not true. The veil, these artifacts, they show that harmony is possible, that balance can be maintained." The figure's form flickered, as if struggling to maintain its shape. "The veil is a prison, binding the natural chaos of the cosmos. It is an abomination, a defiance of the natural order. I am merely returning the universe to its original state." Leia's mind raced as she tried to comprehend its words. She could feel the resonance of the star behind the figure, a steady, pulsing beat that seemed to call to her. She realized that this star was different from the others. It was the heart of the veil, the source of the harmony that connected all the artifacts. She reached out with her mind, connecting with the star's resonance. As she did, she felt a surge of energy, a powerful force that coursed through her, filling her with a sense of peace and clarity. The shadows around the figure began to waver, the darkness receding. "You're wrong," Leia said firmly, her voice filled with conviction. "The veil isn't a prison, it's a bridge. It connects all life, all existence, in a delicate balance. The unraveling isn't natural, it's a perversion of that balance." The figure let out a low growl, its form flickering more violently. "You know nothing, child. You cannot stop what has already begun." Leia felt the star's energy growing stronger, its resonance filling her mind with a harmonious melody that drowned out the figure's voice. She focused on that melody, letting it guide her, strengthen her resolve. "I may not know everything," she said, "but I know this. The universe deserves a chance to find its own balance, its own harmony, and I will do everything in my power to protect that." With a final surge of determination, she reached out with her mind and merged the star's resonance with the artifacts, creating a powerful harmonic frequency that reverberated through the void. The darkness around the figure shattered, and it let out a howl of rage as its form disintegrated into a cloud of dark energy. Leia felt herself being pulled back, the void collapsing around her as the resonance grew louder and brighter. She opened her eyes and found herself back in the chamber, her crew around her. The entity at the center of the room was flickering, its light dimming, as the resonance she had created rippled through it. "What's happening?" Kira shouted, shielding her eyes from the blinding light. Leia could barely hear her over the roar of the resonance, but she knew what she had to do. "The star, the heart of the veil, it's harmonizing with the artifacts. We need to channel its energy into the entity to neutralize it." Dr. Varos nodded, understanding her plan. "But how? It's too powerful. We need more energy to sustain the harmonic frequency." Leia turned to Torin, who was standing at the edge of the chamber, his eyes glowing with a bright blue light. "Torin, can you help me amplify the resonance? Your people have a unique connection to the threads of reality. Can you use that to strengthen the harmony?" Torin nodded, stepping forward. "I will do what I can." He closed his eyes, reaching out with his mind, and Leia felt a surge of energy as his presence merged with hers. The resonance grew stronger, the harmonic frequency stabilizing as it spread through the chamber. But it wasn't enough. The entity was still too powerful, its chaotic energy pushing back against their combined efforts. Leia could feel the strain on her mind, the pressure building as she struggled to maintain the harmony. Suddenly, a voice cut through the noise, Kira's voice, filled with determination. Leah, listen to me. If we're going to do this, we need to give it everything we've got. No holding back. Leah turned to see Kira standing beside her, a fierce look in her eyes. What are you saying? I'm saying that sometimes you have to make sacrifices to protect what you care about, Kira said, her voice steady. I've been running from my past for a long time, but now I have a chance to do something that matters. If we're going to save the galaxy, I'm willing to give it everything. Before Leah could protest, Kira reached out and placed her hand on the artifact, channeling her own energy into the resonance. Leah felt a surge of power, the harmonic frequency intensifying as Kira's presence merged with hers and Torin's. The entity let out a roar, its chaotic energy wavering as the harmony grew stronger. But the strain on Leah's mind was almost unbearable. The energy coursing through her was too much, threatening to tear her apart. Kira gritted her teeth, pushing through the pain. Come on, Leah, we can do this. Just hold on a little longer. Leah nodded, focusing all her strength on maintaining the harmony. She could feel the energy of the heart of the veil pulsing through her, a powerful force that filled her with a sense of hope and determination. With a final, desperate push, she channeled all her energy into the resonance, merging it with the star's harmonic frequency. The entity let out a deafening howl as the harmonic energy surged through it, its chaotic form disintegrating into a cloud of dark energy. For a moment, everything went silent. The resonance faded, and the chamber was filled with a soft, warm light. Leah collapsed to her knees, her body trembling with exhaustion. She looked up to see the entity's form fading away, its energy dissipating into the air. Kira was still standing beside her, her face pale, but her eyes filled with determination. We did it, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. We stopped it. But Leah could see the stead rain in Kira's eyes, the toll the energy surge had taken on her. Kira, you... Kira gave her a small smile. It's okay, Leah. This was my choice. I'm just glad I could do something that mattered. With that, Kira's body shimmered with a faint light, and she began to fade, her form dissolving into the warm glow that filled the chamber. No, Leah cried, reaching out to grab her, but her hands passed through empty air. Dr. Varos rushed forward, his face filled with grief. Kira. But Kira's expression remained peaceful, her eyes closing as her form faded completely, merging with the light that filled the chamber. Tears filled Leah's eyes as she knelt on the cold floor, the weight of what had just happened crashing down on her. Kira had given everything to save them, to stop the unraveling. She had made the ultimate sacrifice, and now she was gone. The chamber was silent, the resonance of the heart of the veil still echoing faintly in the air. Leah felt a mix of sorrow and gratitude, a deep sadness for the loss of her friend, but also a profound sense of relief that they had succeeded. Dr. Varos placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice soft. She gave us a chance, Leah, a chance to save the galaxy, to restore balance. We can't let that be in vain. Leah nodded, wiping her tears away. You're right, we have to keep going, for Kira, for everyone. Torin stepped forward, his expression calm, but his eyes filled with a deep understanding. The heart of the veil still holds its secrets. There is more we must learn if we are to restore harmony to the galaxy. Leah took a deep breath, finding strength in her friend's resolve. They had lost much, but they still had each other, and they still had a mission to complete. As the crew prepared to leave the chamber, Leah took one last look at the place where Kira had stood, a small, sad smile forming on her lips. Thank you, Kira, she whispered. We won't let you down. With that, they turned and made their way back to the Echo's shadow, the light of the heart of the veil guiding their path. They had faced the unraveling, and they had prevailed. But their journey was far from over. The fate of the galaxy still hung in the balance, and they would not rest until they had restored harmony to the stars. The Echo's shadow hovered above the vast, glowing expanse of the heart of the veil, the ship's engines quietly humming against the backdrop of the universe's most ancient energies. Inside, the mood was solemn, tinged with the grief of Kira's sacrifice, but also with a sense of determination and hope. The crew knew that their journey was reaching its climax, but they also understood that their hardest challenge still lay ahead. Leah stood at the viewport, staring out at the swirling patterns of light and color that marked the center of the galaxy. The heart of the veil pulsed steadily, its light reflecting off her face, a gentle reminder of the balance they sought to restore. She could still feel Kira's presence, a whisper of her courage and strength, urging her forward. They had come so far, and now the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. Dr. Varos approached her, his expression a mixture of grief and resolve. "Leah, we're ready." The heart of the veil is more than just a source of energy. It's a gateway, a link to the very fabric of the universe. We need to understand how to use it to stop the unraveling. Leah nodded, turning to face him. "I felt it when we were inside. The artifacts and the heart of the veil, they're all connected, all part of a larger network. If we can harmonize with it, maybe we can undo the damage that's been done." Torin joined them, his eyes glowing with a soft, ethereal light. The heart of the veil represents the universe's potential for harmony. It is a reflection of every star, every planet, every life. To access its true power, one must be in perfect resonance with all that exists. Hax, standing nearby, he let out a small sigh. "Great, so we're trying to sync up with the entire universe now? No pressure." Leah smiled faintly, appreciating his attempt to lighten the mood. It's not just about syncing up. It's about understanding that we're all connected, that every action we take affects the whole. If we can align ourselves with that truth, we might be able to create a resonance strong enough to push back the unraveling. Dr. Varos nodded, his expression thoughtful. "And you believe you can do this, Leah? With the artifacts?" Leah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "I have to try. It's the only way." The crew gathered in the cargo hold, where the artifacts they had collected were laid out in a circle, each one glowing softly with its unique color and resonance. Leah knelt in the center, closing her eyes and reaching out with her mind, feeling the familiar hum of each artifact's energy. She could sense the heart of the veil's presence, a powerful, ancient force that seemed to resonate with every fiber of her being. She focused on that resonance, letting it guide her, pulling her deeper into its rhythm. She could feel the artifacts responding, their energies aligning, merging into a single, harmonious frequency. The ship's lights flickered as the resonance grew stronger, filling the air with a soft, melodic hum. Leah felt her body tingling with energy, her mind expanding as she connected with the heart of the veil. She could see the universe in her mind's eye, a vast web of light and energy, each star and planet a node in a complex, interconnected network. The resonance intensified, and Leah felt herself being pulled into the center of the network, the heart of the galaxy. She could see the tendrils of the unraveling spreading out from a dark void, consuming everything in its path. But she could also see the light, the potential for harmony and balance that lay within every part of the cosmos. As she focused on that light, she felt a presence beside her. Kira, her spirit, her essence was there with her, guiding her, lending her strength. Leah's heart swelled with emotion, tears streaming down her cheeks as she realized that Kira's sacrifice had not been in vain. She had become part of the resonance, part of the harmony they were trying to restore. Leah reached out with her mind, merging her consciousness with the heart of the veil, allowing its energy to flow through her. She could feel the resonance spreading, rippling out across the galaxy, touching every star, every planet, every being. It was a symphony of light and sound, a cosmic dance that filled her with a profound sense of peace and purpose. But then, just as the resonance seemed to reach its peak, she felt a dark, cold presence pushing back. The figure she had seen in her visions, the source of the unraveling, was still there, resisting her efforts to restore balance. Its voice echoed through her mind, a harsh, grating whisper. "You cannot stop me. The unraveling is the true nature of the universe. You are a fool to think you can change that." Leah's resolve hardened. She knew now that this figure was more than just a force of nature. It was a conscious entity, one that sought to impose its will on the universe, to force it into chaos. She would not let it succeed. Drawing on the strength of the heart of the veil and the memory of Kira's sacrifice, she pushed back against the dark presence, channeling the full power of the artifacts and the resonance through her. The energy surged through her, filling her with a brilliant, blinding light. The figure let out a scream of rage, its form flickering and wavering as the light enveloped it. Leah could feel its grip on the universe weakening, its hold on reality slipping as the resonance grew stronger, drowning out the darkness. "You cannot win," the figure hissed, its voice filled with desperation. "Chaos is eternal. You cannot fight what is meant to be." Leah's voice was calm, steady, filled with a quiet strength. "Chaos may be a part of the universe, but it is not its only truth. There is also balance and harmony and light. And as long as there is even a spark of that light, there is hope." With a final surge of energy, Leah focused all her strength on the resonance, pushing it outward, letting it fill every corner of the galaxy. The light grew brighter, the resonance louder, until it was all-encompassing, a brilliant wave of harmony that swept through the universe. The figure let out one last agonized scream as its form shattered, disintegrating into a cloud of dark energy that was swallowed by the light. The tendrils of the Unraveling recoiled, retreating back into the void from which they had come, their grip on the galaxy broken. Leah felt the resonance begin to fade, the energy slowly dissipating as the balance was restored. She opened her eyes, finding herself back in the cargo hold, surrounded by her crew. The artifacts had stopped glowing, their energy spent, but the air was filled with a soft, warm light that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere. Dr. Varos knelt beside her, his eyes filled with awe and relief. "Leah, you did it. The Unraveling, it's gone." Leah nodded, a small smile forming on her lips. "It's not just me. We all did this. Kira, Torin, Hax, you all played a part. We restored the balance together." Torin stepped forward, his eyes glowing with a gentle blue light. "The threads of reality have been mended, but the work of maintaining harmony is never truly done. We must continue to strive for balance in all things." Hax let out a shaky breath, a grin spreading across his face. "Well, I don't know about you guys, but I could use a vacation after all this." Leia laughed softly, the tension and fear of the past few days finally beginning to lift. "I think we've all earned a little rest. But first, we need to make sure the galaxy is safe." The crew moved to the bridge, where the view screen displayed a stunning vista of the galaxy, each star shining brightly, their light untainted by the darkness of the Unraveling. Leah could feel the harmony in the air, a gentle, steady pulse that filled her with a sense of peace. As they watched, the heart of the veil began to fade, its light slowly dimming as it completed its work. Leah knew that it would remain a part of the galaxy, a source of balance and harmony for all who sought it, but its active role in their journey was done. Dr. Varos turned to her, his expression filled with pride. "You've done something incredible, Leah. You've given the galaxy a chance to find its own balance, its own path." Leah nodded, her heart full. "It's not just me. It's all of us. We've all made sacrifices to get here, and will continue to do so. But now, at least, we know that harmony is possible, that it's worth fighting for." As the Echo's shadow drifted away from the center of the galaxy, the crew took a moment to reflect on all they had been through, all they had accomplished. They had faced impossible odds, confronted their deepest fears, and emerged victorious. But Leia knew that their journey was far from over. There would always be challenges, always be darkness, but there would also always be light. And as long as they had each other, as long as they continued to strive for harmony, there would always be hope. The ship's engines roared to life, and the Echo's shadow turned toward the stars, ready to continue its journey through the vast, endless expanse of the universe. Leah took one last look at the fading light of the heart of the veil, a sense of calm settling over her. They had restored the balance, but there were still countless mysteries to explore, countless worlds to discover, and she knew that, no matter what lay ahead, they would face it together. With a smile, she turned her gaze forward, ready to embrace the future. The galaxy was vast and filled with endless possibilities, and she was ready for whatever came next. The Echo's shadow disappeared into the starry expanse, its crew united in purpose, their hearts full of hope, and their eyes fixed on the horizon, where new adventures awaited them in the resonance of the stars.